Hi guys. Okay, so this is Ziki here, hoping that you're all doing very well wherever you are. I had always been promising that I was going to come out live, but unfortunately, my network has been acting up funny. But today, I think I was able to correct the mistake or to identify the mistake. I don't know. I am still yet to see if this is going to work. Yeah, so today is Africa Day. Yes, people are celebrating Africa, everything Africa, but we know our African continent has got its good, has got its bad, has got its success stories and everything. And like the heading for our discussion today is about the youth, okay, the involvement of the youth in development and also the challenges that they are facing. And then I also realized that, if I just talk of the youth in general, it's so broad. So since I always focus on SADC news, I decided to narrow it down to SADC youth. Okay, I decided to narrow it down to SADC youth, the challenges that they face, and possible solutions to some of the problems that are faced by youth in SADC. Now, as we know that in SADC, we have about 16 countries there, and of all those countries, there's been problems after problems in terms of challenges that the youth have been facing. Wherever there is a problem in any country, those who get affected more are usually the youth. And also with the report that says that the youth make up about 1/3 of the world. So you can see it's a huge, population of the youth. Therefore, it is the youth that are the backbone of any economy, of any community, of any society. Okay, so this is what we are going to be talking about today. And of course, with if there is no any problems with the network, I'm going to put the what you call the link for people to join into the stream, okay? And then we can move on with our discussion. You can just be talking from the topic that we're covering today, SADC youth challenges and possible solutions. This is what we are talking about today, okay? Like today being Africa Day. Okay, being a SADC youth, challenges and way forward. This is the title that we have for our discussion tonight. Okay, please, I'm hoping that the network is okay, is behaving properly. Now let us see, some of the challenges that have been falling into SADC. We have countries like Namibia. There have been a lot of challenges in Namibia, and of course, everything affecting the youth there. And also, this is when we saw the youth of Namibia, protesting, getting into the streets, airing their grievances. Yes. Now we move to South Africa again. We also saw in South Africa an unemployment, and all these hardships that the youth is facing, and then the youth also ending up putting matters into their own hands in trying to solve their problems. Then we are seeing now, organizations coming out, like Operation Dudula and everything being led by the youth in order, to correct what they call the ills in the societies. Okay, we have Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, we are seeing the economic challenges that are there. We're also seeing, the issue of sanctions being brought forward. We are seeing, prices going up and everything. And all those things, they still come back to fall on the youth heavily. All right. Now we move to Angola. In Angola, we also saw human rights, abuses. We also saw challenges with the economy, with the youth being unemployed, no support projects for the youth. Okay, and we moved to Eswatini. Eswatini again, they're fighting political, issues there in terms of democracy, in terms of wanting to change the monarchy and everything. All those issues again, they come back to affect the SADC youth. Okay, we have Mozambique. In Mozambique, we saw the challenges that were there. the displacement of people due to conflicts that were there, the rebels, the families being torn apart, the youth failing to go to school and everything. Those are the challenges that were being faced by the youth in Mozambique. We come to Lesotho, same thing, problems all over, and we're seeing the youth coming out to march that they would rather have Lesotho be part of South Africa than all these challenges that they are facing, okay? And we move to Zambia. Again, economic crisis, unemployment, and also, just giving hope in the new government, led by AJ, that maybe one day they're going to be able to, to bring solution to this, okay? And we have Malawi, same applies in Malawi. We saw the youth protesting, saying that, the president is taking too long to give the resolutions of their campaigning. We are still unemployed, no projects, no nothing for the youth. The youth are suffering a lot. And we saw the DRC, same applies, unrest, economic challenges, and many other things there. So you can see that from all these things, when we put them together, including Botswana, Seychelles, Madagascar, if you put all those things together, they just point that the youth in our region are really suffering. Now, when we see all these challenges, now we ask the question, what is the way forward? What is the role of the youth in all this, in solving these things? What can the youth do? Okay, so this is what we want to talk about today. So I'll really appreciate if anyone, like what we do here, everybody has got something to say. It's not about one person just talking and just dictating things on people. No, it's about everyone taking part, everyone contributing. On top of everything that I've spoken about, we also have, things that have been added by natural disasters in the region. We had COVID pandemic in the region, so many things, and all that getting on the youth. And then this is when we begin to see that the youth become frustrated. When there is no employment, the youth get frustrated, right? This is when you see them starting to engage in some other issues, like getting involved in drugs, getting involved in prostitution. This is when you see young girls getting married early, becoming drug mules. All those challenges, they come and they all fall on the youth. And we are saying, as we commemorate Africa Day, what is the way forward for the youth? And now we have narrowed it down to SADC youth. So this is all we're talking about today. And like I said, I've put in I have put in a link for people to join, and we discuss today, hoping that our network is going to be cooperating. It's not going to give us problems, okay? Right, as I continue just to be speaking while I'm waiting for people to join the live stream, we do have issues of, the role of the youth. The youth can play so much. Okay, they can do a lot in our societies, even in the development and upliftment of our nations, of our countries. The youth can do a lot. Okay, we are talking even in issues of political development. Okay, youth have got a role to play. We're talking of social development, economic development, all those things. The youth have a role to play. So if the youth are empowered, and if the youth have a voice, if the youth are given a chance to practice what they have studied, all those things that we are facing in our challenges, we are going to find out that they are going to be, to be less and less, as long as the youth is not satisfied, as long as the youth still roaming the streets, as long as education is not yielding the desired result that is supposed to do. When we send the youth to school, when they go to school and everything, they graduate, they expect that after graduation they're going to have an environment which makes them to be productive in their societies, in their communities. Okay, it might be employment, it might even be creation of employment, it might be projects, it might be so many things. Okay, so the youth are yearning for all those things. This is why we're seeing a number of them, they're ending up just doing all these menial things just to survive. Okay, very, very small things just to survive. This is again where we begin to see the youth then deciding, like, let me just jump the border and go to a neighboring country, let me just do like this, and because there is nothing for them, okay, there is nothing for them, there is nothing that they can do in as much as they are trying to push. So this is what we are asking, like, what should be done in order to empower the youth, in order to make the youth manifest in their fullness, in order to utilize the youth's potential. Okay, they have the youth. The reason why I'm talking like this, some people will say, why are you just focusing on the challenges? Why are you just focusing on the bad things? It is because we have seen recently that, not even recently, it's been long, we have seen that the youth are ending up protesting. The youth are ending up getting into the streets, taking matters into their own hands. Okay, let me give you an example of what is happening in Namibia. The youth identified a problem, they started to protest, and they get arrested. So those again are the consequences of having with things not working properly, of unemployment, okay, of you having policies that are not really uplifting the local youth. You're going to see the youth beginning to rebel. You're going to see the youth beginning to put matters into their own hands again. Okay, I can give you many examples of the youth that have now come out to voice and to speak, okay, against the ill that they see. But again, when you look closely, for example, let me look country by country for a little bit. Let me take you to Zimbabwe. When you look at a situation in Zimbabwe, what is happening to the youth in Zimbabwe right now is very, very sad. It's very sad in the sense that whether you have an education, whether you don't have education, and nothing is working for anyone. Okay, nothing is working for anyone. People used to be encouraged that, oh, you need to go to school. When you go to school, you graduate, you start your projects, you start your businesses, you do A, B, C, D. But, when the environment is not, conducive enough, all these things, there is no manifestation, there is nothing that comes out of it, okay? There is nothing that comes out of it. So this is why you're seeing that in Zimbabwe right now, there's now issues of drug abuse. It is now so rife in the communities, in the streets, wherever you move around, the youth are just getting drunk, and even the money that they are using to get high and to drink and everything is just a hustling, because the environment is not really conducive for them to manifest into their fullness. Okay, so these are the problems that are faced. Is they're not only isolated to Zimbabwe, we are seeing them manifesting everywhere. Mozambique, South Africa, all those countries, we are seeing them, all of them, facing the same challenges that I am talking about right now. So the issues, they are not only isolated to one particular country, but they are affecting the whole region. Now, this is when you find that if the whole region, is under such, such circumstances, right, it means these problems will be, shared along everywhere. There is no peace everywhere because we are united. So we are saying, is SADC, what can we do united, or even in our own personal capacities, or even in our own communities, what can we do, all right, in order to face these challenges and to overcome them? Okay, thank you so much, RM Malema. I don't know. You're welcome. You can unmute your mic. Okay, I'm not the one who muted here. RM, you can unmute your mic, please. Okay, they are not in the studio. Okay, let me read this comment here. The older liberators made many deals that don't benefit the people. So the young generation see it and they are rebelling, yet they arrest us. That is exactly what I'm talking about. That, the young generation, because you are so youthful, and you think, and you reason, and you see the future. You are the future. Because if you compare yourself with old people, and because you yourself, okay, let's see. Can't unmute. Okay. Thank you, RM Malema, please. You're welcome. Oh, they have muted again. Okay. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Actually, I just joined not so long ago, but I managed to hear exactly what you were talking about, Africa, SADC, and everything. So I'm here actually. I'm very not happy. Today I decided not to celebrate Africa Day because there's nothing to celebrate really. And I'm saying this because I realized that I'm actually from South Africa. I'm based in London, but I just came back last week. I came back to South Africa. So when I came back here, there's no electricity and all those problems that we are facing. And my problem actually, it's I want to actually as a whole because I really do follow what is happening in Africa, especially in SADC region. So we have seen what was happening in Namibia, for example. So where there was a very serious problem, and you know when there is smoke, there's fire, and then we have realized now in even people that are not even living in or who have never been to Zambia. I mean in Namibia, I've been to even Zambia as well. Even though if you've been to Zambia or in Namibia as well, you'll realize that China, where you are, Chinese, they've taken over. So that's where the problem is because the opportunities, everything, the construction. I'm into construction myself, and I've realized that everything they've taken over, the Chinese. If you look at the roads, it's Chinese. And if you look at the airport, everything that is has to do with the development, Chinese are there. And this thing is not even something that we can say it's only happening in Zambia and also maybe in Namibia, even here in South Africa. You know, if you go to power station, the new power station, Kusile, which was the power station that is still under construction after so
Mm.
many years, I think for almost more than 10 years construction. And according to the plan, according to the schedule, it was supposed to be finished. I think somewhere just around is it 2012, somewhere there. You can imagine, and then the Chinese are also there involved there. You know, so why am I
Okay, so I think something went wrong. I don't know what happened to Aramalema's network. I don't know what happened there. The network just went off. Hey, Aja. Hello, anybody? Oh no. Aja, Aja, the capitalist. Hello. Okay, so RM, my brother, there who was speaking just now, was talking about the challenges that the youth are facing, especially when we're looking at what is happening in Namibia, where we are seeing that the youth were protesting against the Chinese businesses being given priority more than the Namibian people themselves. So at the end, they were having those challenges, and we have seen that the two youth leaders who were ahead in this protest, they are still in custody. They were denied bail. Okay, and we have seen that the Namibian youth, right now, they have they wanted to sleep at the magistrate court, and we saw the police coming there, and a lot of things that are happening just now. So we can see that these are some of the disturbances and the challenges that the SADC youth are facing. RM, you are welcome. RM,
uh,
okay, go ahead.
mm, yeah, baby?
Okay. The capitalist, are you in the stream? So the capitalist just got in, and I think they also quiet. RM, if you're there, you can go ahead. And if you are having problems, you can also refresh, and then it will be okay. Okay. RM, are you still there? Okay, so what RM was talking about, like I said, he was talking about what is happening in Namibia and also the challenges that are being faced by youth in South Africa. Speaking of what is happening again in Zambia, all those issues and everything that is affecting SADC youth. Yes, we can also include even what is happening to Zimbabwean youth. You can see what is happening there, and them also being caught up in the issue of immigration and everything. It just goes to show that things are not well for the African youth. You know, they always have to work extra hard. They always have to be in this survival mode. Nothing is ever easy for them. Everything is just have to push. They have to go through back door. You have to be breaking doors and everything. You know, we are not saying things should be easy. We're not saying, you know, everything should be easy like that. No, but we're saying there are some things that shouldn't be so hard. Okay, when the environment is okay, the policies are fine, the leaders understand that their youth who also need to grow, who also need to be in positions, who also need to be heard, who don't need to be harassed, you know, all those kind of things, that there is freedom of speech where youth are able to come out and air their views and air their grievances and be heard without being intimidated, without being silenced, without being, you know, arrested. You know, when some youth decide to speak out against ills and then they get arrested. In other words, it's like you are being silenced, that don't talk, don't comment on this, don't react on this. And who gets affected? It is the youth, because the youth are the ones who have the future ahead of them. Okay, the youth are the ones who have years ahead of them. Okay, under normal circumstances, they have had years ahead of them. Imagine if you are being laid, you expect someone who is 95 years old, someone who is 85, someone who is 75 to have the same vision as you, to put a vision for you. It really doesn't really work, honestly speaking, because they know that maybe even in 10 to 15 years to come, if nature doesn't take its course, naturally they will be expired. Okay, so, and you expect those people to have the youth interest. It's best to put the youth themselves to deal with their future. RM, you are back. Okay, go ahead. If you can, just go ahead, unmute and go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. There's a problem of load shedding where I am. Yeah, like I said, I just came back from UK. So yeah, the challenges. So those are one of the things that I'm not really happy about in terms of Africa. I cannot celebrate Africa because Africa is actually going backwards. I mean, if you look at, for example,
I don't know. Andile, I put a link. I don't know if you just click on the link and try. Okay, I put a link there, Andile. Andile, I put a link for you.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Ziki, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I said, I think in Africa we have got a problem of leadership, you know, and then we have got these old people in the ANC, in the ZANU PF, in SWAPO, in Demo in Swaziland, they are all over 60. And then they're talking of the future, and the future is the youth that are unemployed. Most of our African brothers and sisters are very educated, because the education they gave education in South Africa, for example, education now is free. So, and in Zimbabwe and all those other countries as well, people are finding all means. Like, even if you are poor, you will try by all means to get education. And in this education, it means people become more educated, but they don't even get employed. So they get frustrated and everything. And what is happening in Namibia, for example, this is what is going to happen in the rest of Africa. And I feel like in Namibia, because they, like, if you look at what is happening in Namibia, they were complaining about how the government was treating the Chinese versus how they treat their people, their own people. And that is what is happening even in Zambia. If you go to Zambia, China took over everything that is in China. I mean, everything in Zambia, almost everything, it's owned by the Chinese, or Chinese somewhere, somehow they are involved. And then now, with the exclusion of the youth, and this youth, they become more educated and frustrated. We're talking about people with the doctors, people that are very, very educated. Today, we're talking of Africa. You can't celebrate Africa. Well, Africa is still, the Africans are becoming very poor day by day. And then this thing is as a result of us as Africans. We rely, and we want to rely on the politicians, on our politicians. And then last when I was checking the news, I heard about the so-called the ZANU-PF. They call it Santen branch. So, meaning those people, I mean, how can you be proud, Santen? How can you be proud that you are Zimbabweans are very poor? And this is not because, I mean, if we look at Zimbabwe, for example, Zimbabweans themselves, they are scattered all over outside Zimbabwe. And why? It's because the reason why Zimbabwe found themselves where they are today, it's because of the leadership. And the so-called leadership, they found themselves where they are. And most of and this is what is happening even in Zambia, for example. Zambians now, they are not working. The youth are not working. The Chinese took over everything. I mean, you go to Namibia as well, it's almost the same thing. And this is what is happening as well in South Africa. And then this thing called xenophobia and whatever, it's also linked in a way that they now Africans, they become so-called slaves, because they give them small. How can you celebrate Africa if the politicians themselves, they get their salaries every year, they get increased? They earning billions, and I mean millions of rent or whatever currency or dollars per year. While the Africans themselves, they are in poverty. Then how can we celebrate Africa? How can we celebrate Africa when this situation keeps on happening, and we keeps on relying on the politicians themselves? I'm saying the youth must rise, and the youth must not really believe in anything that my surname is Malema, but yes, my Julius Malema is my relative. He's actually somehow my cousin. But as most of the things, I don't agree with him. And I'm saying this thing because I don't really believe in those politicians. I don't care whether it's Chamisa in Zimbabwe or whoever in whatever. At the end of the day, the youth and the people in general, we must never ever put our trust in the politicians, because the politicians are not there for us. They are there for their pockets, their own pockets. This thing has been every year, every centuries. I mean, Africans, they keep on becoming poorer and poorer. But we keep on voting for the same people for change. We can never rely on the. I'm saying these things because my heart is very painful to see the youth today in 2020. Whether you are in Zimbabwe, whether you are in Kenya, whether you are in wherever you are in Africa, you still believe, you still give hope to a politician who is living in a nice life, to you think that that politician will change your life. I think that's where Africans themselves, that's where we're getting wrong. We're getting it wrong. I think we need to rise. We need to create our own jobs. Because we realize that, I mean, this thing of saying the government must create jobs, whatever, let us create our own jobs. Let
Okay, okay,
us hire ourselves, and let us believe in ourselves. And let us
okay,
not allow anyone else, including the politicians themselves, to tell us
okay,
if we are not happy with something. Hello?
okay, RM. Okay, I'm going to hold you there. I want to hear what Shingi is going to say. Then I'm going to come back to ask you a question. Shingi?
Okay.
Oh, hi, ZK. How are you?
Hi, welcome.
Yeah. How are you today? Happy
I'm doing
Africa Day.
great. Yes.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think when you live in a different country, I think we tend to look at things in a different perspective. But I do agree with what Mr. Malema is saying with regards to that politicians are the ones who've made the situations of the young people of today to be where it is today. For instance, if you look in each and every African country, even from the West African countries, going to Central Africa and going to Southern Africa, politics, the way it's run in Africa, it's still the same. All these old parties that have been governing and ruling, they don't want to come out of power. If, for instance, if you look at the situation in Cameroon, there is this president called Paul Biya. Paul Biya has been in power, I think, since maybe 1982 or 1980, I don't know. And until now, Paul Biya is still a president of Cameroon, and his government is still running. And all the old people that are in the cabinet, they are the ones that will be just sleeping there, not doing anything, not even giving the young fresh blood the chance to learn. So how are they going to pass the baton to the younger generation if they just want to keep on holding on to power? Yes, if you're an adult, but you need to think of the future. You need to think about what is the future for Africa. So yes, even today, this guy was talking about the way the Chinese, influencing, Africa. Yes, to a certain extent, the Chinese have been our long friends for years. If you look at our liberation struggle, the Chinese, they did help us. Especially, I don't know, I'm referring to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, for it to fight its liberation struggle, the Chinese did a lot of work in helping us, in assisting us. Same as applies with South Africa, the way Fidel Castro did help South Africa, the ANC, when they were fighting apartheid. So there is that sort of bond and that relationship, which is like a diplomatic sort of a relationship. And I know we might be sometimes being biased, because sometimes people, they just feel like support or trade has to be done through people of the West, which many people tend to think like that. Today's decay, I was really, touched, because, here in England, people are celebrating this Diamond Jubilee for Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth. And all the shops and everywhere, people are, like there's a momentum about this Jubilee. And even today on BBC 24, even when I was watching Breakfast Show this morning, they never even spoke about Africa Day. I was only reminded when I rang my sister back home. She's the one who says, oh, we've got like a bank holiday. Today is Africa Day. I said, wow, it's Africa Day. She said, oh, yeah. I said, oh, they've never said anything even here on television. You see what I mean? But we've got a large number of African diaspora here in the UK. So you see how the West, they don't even care about us. They don't even, bother, about, anything that has to do with us, you see. But you would find, like, even South Africa, because it's regarded as a Commonwealth country, they will be celebrating this Diamond Jubilee. I'm telling you, they will be celebrating it, and So it's just that thing that, you know, we, you know, like as a youth, you know, people, you know, we've all been affected by the way our politicians have led us. And I think it's a cancer. And I don't know how this gonna, you know, how we're gonna get the healing from it. But obviously, these platforms like yours, where people will be independently to talk, I think it's gonna help somehow. It will help because the momentum is, you know, it's starting through social media, and social media is a very powerful tool. So I'm very grateful for such platforms like this because it gives, you know, platform to anyone. Because if you look at it in some, especially in Zimbabwe, the media is so controlled, you know, and they don't allow, you know, even the youth sometimes to voice themselves. You know, everything becomes political. So, you know, but platforms, you know, which are being created now with social media and things like that, the news can spread. So, you know, I'm so grateful for that. Anyway, thank you for now.
Thank you, Shingi. Just
Yeah.
listen, and if you have any more contribution, you can come in later. Let's listen to the capitalist.
Yeah.
The capitalist, you're welcome.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. I'm here in Cape Town in South Africa. The first thing that I want to say is that I think politicians, especially in South Africa, are misleading the most of people are being misled by the politicians simply because they keep on saying that we don't have land and all the stuff that we have to fight for land and what. But the truth is that we got a lot of land in South Africa. If you can read the statistics properly, we have a lot of land in South Africa, in the places like Eastern Cape, Limpopo, and other places. But they don't mention that land. They just talk about the land that we have in urban areas, like in Cape Town, the land that is already planted, paved, all the stuff. Simply because they are lazy to work the land that is in rural areas. You see, they keep on telling that the rich land is on white people, the rich land is on capitalists, all the stuff like that. But they forget that in order for that land to be rich, it took someone to work on that land. It took someone to put a labor on that land, to put the fertilizer and hire people. They failed to do that on the land that we had in Eastern Cape, all the stuff. What I'm trying to say is that most of youth in South Africa, we're coming from rural areas and we come to urban areas like Cape Town, Johannesburg, and then there are not jobs here. Like, we are fighting for jobs while we have other places that we.
Are you there? Oh, okay. So we have lost the capitalist there. Okay. So people are talking about, you know, the challenges that the youth are facing, also the issue of, you know, the leaders, you know, the political issues and all those kind of things. And also there's another issue that I wanted us to talk about as well as we continue, that we also want to find some other ways of, you know, cooperating, you know. And I also wanted to give a question back to you, my friends, that are there any, you know, are we doing enough, you know, to work together, to cooperate between SADC youth? Okay, are there any cooperatives, any joint ventures, any joint organizations, any joint projects that are being done? Because when we, for example, if we dwell with social media, you will find that especially recently, social media has been very divisive. I don't know if I used the word correctly, right? It has been dividing people a lot. Like, you find that I am this, you are this, you are that, you are that. There's not been any, you know, common thing, you know, any coming together of the youth and speaking with one voice in condemning issues. I've noticed that it has been all about you and you do this, you do. There's not been us, come together, let's do this. I've also noticed that. So if anyone can comment on that, I will really appreciate it. Okay, I want to hear about, you know, working together as SADC youth, what is being done along that area of being united as youth and fighting these ills together, rather than, you know, fighting as individuals, okay? Let me see here. Shingi, are you there? Shingi? Is anybody there? No one is there, right? Okay, so let me move forward again. And also we were talking about, let me see. We were talking about the issues of, like I say, was saying the issues of working together, okay? The issues of working together as youth, in partnerships with cultural exchanges. I think we have seen these things being happening, like when we talk of cultural exchanges and these programs, mainly they're spoken when you include other countries that are far away. For example, I've seen this man being talked much when it comes to African youth versus Chinese youth, all those kind of things. But what about at this level of regional level? Are they any of such projects or such programs that are there, to unite people? Okay. Olu Gold, AJ. Okay. Shingi, are you there? Okay, Shingi is not there. Okay. So now, like I was saying, that the youth are the key, they're an element, a very, very important aspect of any community. If the youth are disgruntled, if the youth are not well taken care of, if the youth are not, are not, educated enough, they have nothing to do. This is when we start to see all these problems that we are seeing in our societies right now. We are talking of, crime rate going high. Okay, we are talking of all these stealing this, killing this, murders, robberies. We are even talking of, HIV. We are a lot of those things. They all emanate from the youth, having nothing to do. They all emanate on a failed community that has failed to empower its youth. One of our brothers, they spoke about the youth simply looking to get employed. Okay, they say, oh, these youth, they're simply looking to get employed. They should create their own, their own jobs and everything. Yes, this is very 100% correct that the youth have to create, they should create their jobs, create, different projects. But then you have to also come back again to the policies and the environment. Okay, they might want to do all those things, but if the environment is not conducive enough, if the policies are not, conducive enough, everything is not really okay in terms of governance and the policies and everything. Still, even if they try to do certain projects, they can only go to a certain extent. They cannot fully manifest to their fullness. But yes, we understand that they need to, to create projects. We have seen a lot of talent of innovators, young innovators creating things, but it just ends on social media and you never hear it again. Okay, so this is another thing that we're talking about, like the youth need to be a voice. But again, we see that African youth, even in our region, is SADC, when they voice out, when they start to speak out, they are silenced. They are silenced. And how are they silenced? They get intimidated, they get arrested, they get threatened. At the end of the day, they will just keep quiet and start, getting lost and start to rebel. Okay, those who are bold enough to like say, okay, we are going to stand no matter what, no matter what. Like that youth, that EFF youth leader in which country? In Namibia, who stood up and said, well, if you beat me, beat me. If you arrest me, harass me, and everything. But of course, now we are seeing that he has been arrested. He's still behind bars. He's being denied bail. Okay. So again, for those other youth who are out there who might be having the same thing, like, okay, we want to speak out, we want to fight this, they also start to back down a little bit, back off a little bit, because already there is fear that has been instilled in them that, if you go ahead and talk about this and, act against this thing, you're going to face this and that. So youth Africa, what should we do? What should be done? Okay, what is the solution to all this? The problems are there. Okay, can we see one day the youth of South Africa and the youth of Zimbabwe, the youth of Zambia and everything coming together to form a strong force and say, hey, let's go and voice out against what is happening in Mozambique. Let's come together as all this SADC youth. Let's go and face what is happening in South Africa. I don't know. I'm seeing that my network is coughing here. I don't know what is going on. Yeah, my network is very, very bad. I can see that. Oh my God. I don't know. I really tried, guys. I tried, but my network is not very, very good. Okay, someone said, okay, let me just put it on the screen. Shingi, are you there? I don't want to keep people in
Yes,
there.
I am. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm listening.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you've got, yeah, I think my network is bad here. So if you've got something to contribute, you may go ahead.
Well, the sentiments I can just share, they are more similar to you, because we see a lot of repression that happens with people that try to voice and try to speak out. If for instance, imagine what has been happening. I can always give an example of the UK because that's where I live. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We've got an issue with Boris Johnson at the minute, where he's been fined for because they were having these parties in number 10 Downing Street when we were in lockdown. For instance, can you see that happening in Zimbabwe? Even if there was like an investigation that there was a party at the State House. We had an incident in Zimbabwe where I don't know if I'm allowed to mention names. During the lockdown, I'm not going to mention names. One of the ministers, she had a party. She had a party, and it was during lockdown, and many affluent people attended that party, and nothing was said, but the whole country was in a lockdown. So you see, we did, took this Westminster style of democracy. But I personally feel Africa was like a premature baby who cannot hold democracy. And I know South Africa is a little bit better, to be fair, in terms of certain rights and things like that. There is freedom of speech and all that. So South Africa, I cannot compare it with Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a little bit like North Korea, even though I know people are free, but certain things, repression is still there, amongst the youth, of today. So, and like what this other gentleman, Malem, I think is gone, where he said a lot of people are highly educated and they're very intellectual. People, you find they've got degrees, they've got skills, they're highly skilled, but there are no jobs. The industry is dead. There is no industry anymore in our country. The young youth of today, when they finish, most of them, they think of going to a foreign country. Just like another video you posted another day of this other celebrity in South Africa who was saying a lot of Zimbabweans are fighting to get citizenship in another countries. But that's the truth, Decay. It is the truth. All of us, didn't we fought, to get this red passport? People, but it's like you feel like you are more secured now because you've taken other people's identity. But what about us? What about us? What about who we are? Now we have people like, we've got an incident that happened recently, not very far from where I live. A family went to Zimbabwe on holiday, and then there was a very tragic incident that happened there, and then people died. Do you know that they had to repatriate those bodies? Those people are Zimbabwean. They had to be repatriated from Zimbabwe, and they had to bring them back here to UK to be buried. Hello? Oh, the network, I think. Hello? Oh, It's the network, isn't it? Hello? Is it the signals?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, we are here. Just go ahead.
Oh, was it me? Because the signals just went dead.
Ah.
Yeah, no, I was just giving an example. I know it was a tragedy. It's something very painful that happened. And I'm not talking about it in a very malicious way, no. But I just want to give like a picture of what that gentleman was saying, that now most people, from our nation, especially, people from our own country, they are fighting to get other people's, like citizenship and nationalities. That family, they had to bring the bodies of the deceased back to the UK for them to be laid to rest, But these people are Zimbabweans, indigenous Zimbabweans. You see what I mean?
Wow.
So they find the UK now to be like home more than, their own motherland. You see? And, we've got people progressing here, to be fair. I know one day you posted of a guy, I know that guy anyway, who's become a mayor, from Kobe. I know him, not that he might remembers me, but I do know him.
Yes.
But we in all those people, all those brains, all those people, imagine that drain that has been taken from Africa. And it's not only Zimbabwe. Imagine the whole of the SADC, as you are saying. All the young, intelligent people, they've all come out and gone to other places, and people are accelerating. If you come to the UK, if you come, you go into social services, if you go to healthcare, if you go to all the ministries, you find most of our African people, they hold big positions. So imagine all that, the intellectual, even now they are even recruiting now. Do you know the UK is recruiting most of the best people from Zimbabwe and South Africa? They are bringing them over here. And imagine all those, we train people, and then in the end they come over here. Because if they stay over there, what are they going to stay for? Because they'll be not earning enough money. So they make choices to come over here. And these are the youth that are supposed to be building our nation.
Yeah, the brain drain is too much.
Exactly. Imagine all my youth's decay, I gave it to this United Kingdom, which is not even my motherland. And that pains me. So imagine, even that brick I lifted one by one, I could have at least done it in my own country, building it just like the way these people are building their world.
Yeah, it's true.
So, when you tend to mature now, you tend to think to say, oh my goodness, what have I done?
Your youth.
All my youth has all been taken in this country. You end up like with walking with shoes with no soles.
It's true. Yes.
Another Jamaican, I used to work with this other lady. She was from Barbados. She used to say, when we came here, she says, you see, now I'm struggling to walk properly. She says, I used to walk very nicely, but the way I've worked in this country, being a bedside nurse, she says, look, the way I am. You see what it ends is? So many of our people are working so hard here, ZK. They are working 24/7, and we are boosting the economy of this country, and it's becoming more greater and greater. And then
exactly,
what about us? What about us? Anyway.
So what should we do? What should we do? Should people just say, okay, we are going to stay and fight? what should people do, because we really want our own countries, our own home, to be okay.
Because the problem now, we imagine, look at our country's decay, the infrastructure, everything now is like back in the 60s. The way, look at our roads, look at things. If we say people start to have an uprise now, what will be left of our home? Honestly, to be fair, what will be left of our home, to be honest? Already, I looked at this, I grew up in a place, I don't know whether if you are from Harare. I saw this place, Machipisa used to look very nice. It used to be a nice place with pavements and all that. Now, if you look at that place in Highfields, it looks like a place from the lost world. Because of there is no development, the infrastructure, everything looks so dilapidated. It looks so dilapidated, ZK, to the point that when you go there, you just look at it and you think, oh my goodness, there is no improvement, nothing at all. The roads, they are full of potholes. Some buildings, those old buildings, some of them, it's like they are falling down on their own. Honestly, I'm telling
let's
you.
hear from Malema.
Yeah, maybe Malema might have a solution. Mr. Malema might have a solution because he's got that politician blood. So we'll hear from him.
Okay.
No, I tend to agree with you, Shinge, with most of the things that you are saying. I heard you are also from you also live in UK, because I also live in UK, but I just landed last week. I understand where you're coming from in terms of what you guys what you are saying. Like I said initially, I said I was okay in London when I landed. Right now we have load shedding. So that's one of the things that Shingi is trying to point out, that the load shedding, the poor infrastructure and everything and all those things. And you must understand, Shingi and Ziki, that we do have engineers, for example, that are there to help us. But the government, everything is corruption. Everything has to do with corruption. And then if you look at maybe in UK, there is corruption as well. But what I like about the corruption there versus the corruption in Africa in general is that here in Africa, they eat first before they do work. They eat. That's why you see there's a problem. Yeah, this network it's the problem.
Load shedding.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
It looks like there's a problem of network here. Yeah,
but
the
we
load
can hear
shedding.
you.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hello. Yeah, no, network it's bad.
We can hear you loud and clear. Okay. Oh, they are out. The network is a problem there.
Let's hear from Ray. What does Ray? Ray has been quiet.
Okay, Ray is actually my backup plan in case my network puts me out. He's going to remain in the stream to just guide.
All right.
But yes, okay. But if he has got something to say, he's also free.
All right. Yeah. You see, Mr. Malema is agreeing with me, ZK, because yes, it's like what he's saying is true. We do have corruption. Corruption is here, and there's a lot of it that is going on. But the way it's done, where we come from, ZK, it's done in a very massively way. I always laugh when they say that time when they talk about the Guptas and say the South African government was captured by the Guptas. Look at Zimbabwe, for instance. Are we not captured? Are we not captured? We are captured. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to mention because I don't want to put myself in trouble. But, but it is what it is. It is what it is. We are captured, ZK. We are captured. And we are captured by those that are in authority. You see, and that
Okay,
is the
so Shinge, I'm asking you, what is the solution to this? Because we are talking of here, we are saying like a lot of some of the youth, the only thing that they're thinking is like when they travel, when the going gets tough, they pack their bags soon after
yeah, they
graduation,
leave,
then
yeah,
they go and they're going to be serving other countries. All their youthful days, all their
yeah.
productive youthful days, they are spent and lived in other countries.
It's
Okay.
true. It's true what you are saying. To be honest, the only solution that we could have had, like if you learn it in sociology, it was only the way things that changed here. It was about a little bit of protest, as they call it, a little bit of violence. It can change things, and whatever. But who's got the guts to do that? Because even myself, I'm a coward as well, because I left. You see what I mean? Because I didn't want to put myself into that situation, because everybody will be thinking, oh, who wants to go first? Who wants to take the bullet? Do you see what I mean? So everybody will just say, oh, let me just think of my life and move away. We've got people who are mature, who might not be the youth. For instance, we've got Hopo Chingono. I know he's a journalist, but he's like a lone voice in a way. He's been shouting, but alone. I feel like he's a bit alone. He doesn't have like a sort of a backup, even though he shouts. But at least he is trying. You understand? I think that man, I honor him in a way, because he's been trying and he is in there. It's not like he's outside. He is shouting inside. So that sort of make a difference in a way. But that is what most of us, we failed. I don't know, because mostly
But let's see. Let's compare here. Let's look at SADC with this about 16 countries, right? Let's compare them. Now we have youth from Zimbabwe. We have youth from South Africa. We have youth from Namibia. All the 16 SADC countries.
Okay.
Okay. We have youth from SADC, youth from all the 16 SADC countries. Okay, we have youth from SADC, all those ones. But when we want to look at it closely, you find that South African youth and like recently, Namibian youth, we have seen it happening again. They stand up.
Okay.
What is the difference? What is the difference between Zimbabwean youth and the South African youth and Namibian youth?
I think what that gentleman said, that celebrity gentleman, I can't remember him, very well. I can't remember his name. I think he was a South African. Yeah, you are the one who posted the video.
Yeah. His
to
name
be
is
fair, some of his sentiments, I agree with him in a way. I know it did come across like insulting, but we have become, too like self-centered. We've become self-serving. You understand? There are instances, like, for instance, I'm giving just a classical example, like when my mother was very sick back home, and you know how healthcare is so expensive. But having myself being here, I was in a position to be able to put my mom in a private healthcare where she received the best healthcare. Having doctors, private doctors, and to the point when she became very ill, we even managed to change even like a bedroom to become more like a hospital setup. But how many people who are just an ordinary person working in our country, who can afford to do that?
No.
So we have become self-serving. You see what I mean? We've all become self-serving. I'm sorry to say that. So we don't even think much of anyone, as long if it's working out for me. That's what matters most. As long as I've managed to help my brothers and sisters who are close to me, making sure they are out of the country, or this one has gone to this one has gone. That's what matters most.
So we should clap our hands. We should clap our hands for South African youth, right? And
oh yeah. But also you need to realize as well, in South Africa, there is freedom of expression. There is freedom of expression. Same applies with Namibia. Same applies with Botswana. You see what I mean? The way the governing there is done, it's done in a very different way. You remember, we've just come out of dictatorship, a very strong dictatorship. So it will take time for people's minds to be conformed, to certain democracy. It was such a taboo, that people, did not want to speak because people lived under this repression. When people are being abused, they can even love the abuser. Do you know? You get it, decay. People even
Yes,
love
I do.
that abuse them. I was even talking to my mom the other day. She was even saying she does miss Robert Mugabe.
What?
Yeah, she did say that. She says, "Oh, that he was such a good leader. We all miss him. He was better. He was like a father figure. He had a heart for us. He did love us." But the reason why they talk like that all their lives from 1980, this is the only man they know. You see what I mean? It's like going to North Korea. If you talk about Kim Jong, whatever his name, you see when they see him, they even clap hands, and some they even cry. And you are thinking, why are they crying for?
Let's hear from let's hear from Magufuli, Biko, Amini. Wow, 3 in 1. You're welcome. Magufuli, Biko, Amini. Okay, Ray, open your mic. I'm going to exit so that maybe I'm the one disturbing the stream. No one is talking there. What's going on? Magufuli is out. Okay. Okay, so let me get back to Shinge. I think Magufuli is back.
Yeah, I think he's back.
Hello, sis. How you doing? Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, look, I'm not from Zimbabwe, but I have a lot of Zimbabwe friends. First I want to say Zimbabwe people are very, very intelligent people. Not only Zimbabwe, I think a little Southern Africa, actually. Zimbabwe and Southern Africa. I spent a lot of years with them, and it's just my thoughts, okay? Because me spending a lot of time with them and see their thinking process, Zimbabwe were very intelligent people, but at some time I feel like maybe just how I see things, I feel like the government is telling the people Zimbabwe, because if the government of Zimbabwe, if they can use their people, even if they're not gonna, running around asking for aid from the Western world, because at the end of the day, as a black people, as African people, we can be the solution to our own problem. You see, I know a lot of people, we have a different ways of seeing things, like, oh, we have to wait for them to solve our problem. But they always say, at the end of the day, we can be the solution to our own problem. So the solution for Zimbabwe, in my opinion, is start with Zimbabwe. You see, I think the youth especially, because it seems like the old people, they don't want to make a change. And if anybody, because I used to have a friends, because most of the time I don't like people to. I just do for a reason. I don't like to show my face or whatever. There used to be other brother who are Zimbabweans. They go to some certain country and sneaking looking for any other Zimbabwean brother who say anything negative, and they're going to get reported back in Zimbabwe. I used to have a friend of mine. I remember you say, you know what? Sometimes I can't even say things, even here with both Zimbabwe. But if you have anything which probably will benefit other Zimbabwe, you're going to get reported. Like I had one of the brother here say, sometimes you may have a good intention you want to do for other Zimbabweans, but at the same people that you have a good intention, you want to liberate your people, the same people going to turn back on you and put you in trouble.
Wow.
So I think maybe people should have something like a code of conduct, like, hey, listen, this is a code we need to stand for. Like a type. I'm not saying I'm not here to provide any solution. It's just my opinion.
Wow.
Okay, it's just my opinion. Like, because if it can come something like a code, like, look, maybe we as a youth less of Zimbabwe, maybe we can stand. This could be our code of conduct. Like, look, no snitching. What? Because it seems like all people they don't want to make any changes.
Yeah.
They just want to stay there, stay in power. I don't care about their own people, as long as they stay there in power. Because look, a lot of Zimbabwe remember before when Mugabe was in power, a lot of people had a hope, like, okay, Mugabe now is gone, things is gonna be way better. But as far as I see, I don't know. But as far as I see and as far as I hear, a lot of people that I know from Zimbabwe, it seems like the complaint is more like people are more or less happier compared to before. Like, oh, I think it was better at the time. Some they say better now, but it seems like more people are more, they kind of feel anguish more, like, we're not happy, we're not happy, get wasted, get wasted, get wasted. So I don't know, but I feel like the solution for brother and sister from Zimbabwe, I think it started with Zimbabwe himself. But it has to be maybe a code of conduct. Look, we have to stay in code.
Interesting. They should have
But
a code of conduct.
yeah, like, look, man, we have to stay in code, like, as a youth, because look, the thing is, a lot of people in Zimbabwe are very, very intelligent. I'm telling you, man. Like, among the people that I came across with Zimbabwe and South Africa, especially brother and sister from Limpopo, Eastern Cape, in Southern Africa in general. It's not only Southern Africa, West and East and everywhere, but because I spend a lot of time with them. So I'm just talking based on my experience, like special brother and sister from Limpopo, South Africa, Eastern Cape, Lesotho. Those are people that I spend time in Zimbabwe. Are very, very intelligent people. But sometimes I even ask myself, like, how comes like Zimbabwe come from Zimbabwe don't see like why they don't use their own people like these people? Like, because sometimes when I see how excellent they are in the country, like, I'm not a praise, I'm not a politician, but why these politicians cannot use like their human resources? I'll give example Kenya. Kenya don't have a lot of resources, but what they do, they use their own people. And most of the time, me personally, was also spending a lot of time with Kenya. I've been in a lot of countries. I was glad to travel a lot of countries.
Wow.
You see? And we come from Kenya, they don't have a lot of resources, but what they do, they use their people like as a human resource. But it seems like the leader, man, I'm not a politician, but I don't know how Zimbabwe gonna do, but I think the solution start with the Zimbabwe, especially the next generation. Because the problem is people gonna have to die, some people. Because changes happen. And as far as I know, a lot of my brothers from Zimbabwe, like sometimes they try, but most of them they have a fear. So
Fear.
Yeah, I just give the facts like how I see it. Fear, because what happened is, because I even have some, you can't even open the mouth, because sometimes, let's say they're among others Zimbabwe, somebody can say something, at least after the Chamisa time, people start to have that voice. But before, I remember, because I spent a lot of years with them, like a lot of nationalities, but also Zimbabwe most of the time. The
Mhm.
king, they say, "Oh, you killed my brother. You're gonna get executed." So some people have to die. Like it has to happen like that. It has to be like the time of the how do they call it? During the time of independence. Maybe it has to happen like that because the
Mm.
king continue killing people. I don't know, man. I'm not saying, but I think blood must be shed.
Okay, I just want to ask you something. We saw
Okay.
that during the liberation struggle, right?
Yeah.
Our now leaders, they're saying they used to come in together. Some people used to travel from Zimbabwe, Mozambique to go to South Africa, to go and fight. Others will come from Angola and everything, to be united and fight together as one. Now, with this generation that we have and the issues that we are facing now, it's also possible that the youth also, can also copy the same style of coming together.
Yeah, I think they could do it, but I think people can use more. It just look, Ziki, look, I'm not solution for. I know the solutions will come from the brother from Zimbabwe. It's just more thing. I think maybe Zimbabwe diaspora can put too much pressure because at the end of the day, look, there are other people. They don't watch a lot of social media, but when the pressure comes too much, but they have their spies and the people who does it. Mnangagwa is not gonna come here and watch whatever, but there are people gonna say, "Oh, this man, but he's not from Zimbabwe." He said, "No, but they cannot get me because I'm not Zimbabwe. I can just run whatever I want to say. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm.
for me, I can say, I can just say whatever. Like for example, I'm gonna say, you know what? The movement it started. I'm not from Zimbabwe. Maybe I can add value to Zimbabwe. You
Mm.
understand? Yeah, I don't know. It's just my opinion. So yeah, that can happen. But I think Zimbabwe diaspora can put a lot of pressure. But people must do something, like because at the end of the day, like let's say Malawi can try to do something, South Africa can try to do something. But at the end of the day, I do believe the solution from Zimbabwe is start with Zimbabwe.
Mm. So you only have word for the Zimbabwean youth. Say you, Zimbabwean youth, you have the solution to your country.
Yes. But people must stay in code because if it's going to be a lot of snitches, it has to be some type of code like, look, you off code, brother. I don't know how that's going to be done, but it must be some type of code of conduct
Mm.
and some
Wow.
type of discipline for the people who stay out of the code.
Mm.
Because if
Interesting.
listen,
Welcome, Simon.
all right, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Simon is gone.
All right.
Let me try to add them back. Hey, Simon. Okay, they're out. Okay, so my brother Magufuli, they was talking about, Zimbabwean youth need, to face their problems, okay? But there's fear and there's snitching, sellouts, others will say, let's fight, and others will go behind and say, hey, they are planning to go and fight, come and do this. So again, we're going to find that, the problems will still remain the same, okay? Like I was saying, I from what everybody else is saying, yes, it seems like South African youth, they have no fear. South African youth, they should tell us what's the secret, why they don't fear, like, they can voice out, they can stand up. What's going on with South African youth? Simon,
Oh, can you hear me?
hey,
Can you hear me?
yes, we can.
Happy Africa Day. Yeah, very
Oh,
interesting discussion.
thank you.
Yeah, I've just been thinking here that I think maybe sometimes I think what we do as Africans, I think we don't go for low hanging fruits. And I think instead of coming up with all these big ideas that okay, one Africa, one president, and all those kind of things, how about just start with the basics? Let's connect a railway from South Africa to Zimbabwe to Mozambique, connect the region, you know, open up the highways, just little things like that, that over time they add up and they open up spaces for people to also be able to integrate and to also be able to move freely. And I think what African leaders have learned over the years is that if they keep on selling us this pie in the sky, we'll always be looking up for them, looking up looking up for this pie to come one day whereas they're not doing anything in the meantime. You look at the same thing in Zimbabwe, people will be talking about the British, you're talking about the land and all those kind of things. But how about starting to take the state-owned land, give it to the people, let people farm? Same thing with South Africa. Almost 30 years into democracy, the land has not even been distributed, and it still need to happen. Why is it not happening? Because the guys are not they're more interested in power than in really empowering people. Because if you really look in the region how the former liberation movements do things, the pattern is the same. They act as if they are our parents. It's like they don't trust us. It's like we're this. It's like for them we're like kids.
Wow.
We're like kids. They don't see us as adults. We can't make our own decisions. We don't know what we want. They know what we want. And I think that's the reason why our youth are suffering today, because what they want and what their so-called parents want is two different things. Their parents
It's
want
two
power.
different things, yes.
Yes, their parents want power no matter what, even if it means starving you or killing you. And the youth are saying, hey, why can't we be like the other continents in the world? Because if you really look at the Chinese suffered the same thing that we had in Africa. They were also colonized. They were also
Yes.
killed. They also suffered. But instead of being angry and waiting for somebody to say I'm sorry, they focus on themselves and they say, no, let's rebuild. Yes, we've been treated unfairly, but let's focus on ourselves and build. For us, it's like we still have this anger towards Europe, and the reality is nobody's going to say sorry to us. We just need to move on. Nobody's going to say sorry. It's like you're fighting. It's like you're waiting for that boyfriend, that girlfriend that left you for somebody else to say sorry before you can move on. And we need to start thinking differently that we really need to move forward. If we are really going to change the condition of the youth in the region or in Africa, you look at most of our presidents in the region, I mean, almost the whole of Africa, you got all these old people who have no vision for the future.
Yeah.
We're living in a what new industrial revolution. They have no idea what's happening. You see other countries, the countries in the East, you see South Korea, like they say, what South Korea way back in the 70s. They were even borrowing money from Africa. But look where they are today. So for us, even in the next 10, 20 years, my fear is we might find ourselves in the next 10 or 20 years, we might find ourselves in the same position where we are colonized in some way or the other, either by the Chinese or by whoever is more powerful. Because to start with, if we have all these minerals that we always brag about, but we don't have the army to protect it. We don't have the army to protect it. So we can shout as much as we want. Like today, we say, no, we don't want the French, whatever they must go. If they say no, what are we going to do? There's nothing we can do. We cannot defeat the French. If they say they don't want to go, there's nothing we can do. So that's what I'm saying. We are focusing on the wrong things. Start with the little small things. Let's have maybe like some sort of like a regional plan. Okay, guys, this is what we need to do. Let's invest in education for the next 2-3 years. Let's invest in IT for the next 2-3 years. That's what we need to do. We need to have plans that even a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old in primary school, they must know what the country is pushing towards.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So that's just my 5 cents for the day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Magufuli, you still there? What do you say? Magufuli, any comment from what Simon has said?
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. You want to say something? My apologies. Okay, what I was saying is, I think brother and sister from Zimbabwe, I think they can learn from South Africa, especially as far as they have to be fearful, like fearless. I mean, fearsome. I think that's something that I learned from a lot of my brothers and sisters from South Africa. If they want something, they go for it. Like they're ready to lose their life for whatever they want. It just as far as I learned from them. I think if brothers and sisters from Zimbabwe they can take that model and use it. Okay, because let me tell you something, right? If let's say, for example, when you go to school, like when you're young, somebody bully you every day. If you let that person every day come and punch you like, yo, doom, on your face, say, oh, I'm gonna tell my mom, and then tomorrow punch you. But if one day you stand, it can't happen every day.
Okay, so in other words, are we agreeing here that, mainly the solutions should be country by country or as a region? That was my question, because
okay, so okay. For example, a region can give a support, but also Zimbabwe they have to do something because, like, let's say for example, South Africa trying to help. Let's say I'm just saying, let's say South African brother and sister they want to support. Malawi brother they want to support, but a brother from Zimbabwe and sister they fear. I mean, it can never happen. That can never happen.
I understand. But what could be contributing factor to this fear compared to South Africa, compared to other what could be that contributing factor? What is it?
I think, as far as my observation, and I've seen a lot of example. Most of the government they real show example because like Zimbabwe government they use soldiers sometimes, and they can even kill some of the people. I remember there was one of the guys, I think it was in England, and I spent time with him sometime. He went back to Zimbabwe, so he was like a new in that village. So what they do, they almost execute him because they say he came with a new agenda and all those sort of things because he used to have that revolutionary mindset. So they had like a little meeting. So what they did, they make him disappear for some time. So the Zimbabwe government, I think they kind of use the dictator type of system, and it's very bad because like we come from the colonial system, and now our own people treat us like so bad. But how that can stop? Because it can't just stop itself.
Wow.
And it's not only Zimbabwe, a lot of countries this stuff happen. But my question, why is not happening in South Africa? Because it didn't just happen in South Africa like that. Because if you take back 1990, during the apartheid, right? I'm not much historian, but I can take a little back according to my own thinking process, my knowledge, what I've learned about apartheid and stuff. There was a lot of apartheid going on, in that time. But people stood up. They fought for it.
It's true.
So I think the solution for brothers, like he has to, people must die. Like that change of those old people to continue to oppress brothers and sisters from Zimbabwe, how it's going to stop? People must sacrifice. And when people sacrifice, other people must support them. Because if Zeke, let's say, oh, let's say I'm from Zimbabwe, and then I say, you know what? Let me stand for my brother and sister. But now you let me die alone. You see, that's a problem now. So change cannot come because what they do, they show one example, like, okay, look, we're going to use Magufuli Bikwame. Let's execute him. When they execute me, let's say, well, I can be here and give support to my brother and sister from Zimbabwe. By any means, like in the social media, yo, Magufuli Bikwame, we're going to be here, we're going to have whatever. I can raise my voice because nobody can do nothing for me. They cannot cage me. I can even show my face, whatever, because I'm not from there. But then and sister from Zimbabwe, they must do something for themselves. So if they execute, let's say me, let's say I'm from Zimbabwe, then people should not back off. They must go and keep fighting, and then they cannot kill everybody. They cannot kill all of us here. They cannot kill Ray, Simon, Malema, and Zeke, and everybody here. No, that can never continue.
Wow. So
some of people that must be gone. I'm ready to go. They can kill me. So our brother and sister from Zimbabwe can be liberated.
Yeah. It's let me hear what who's in there. Malema, what do you think about Magufuli's contribution?
Okay, thank you, Ziki. I think, I agree with Magufuli because I think, to be honest with you, Zimbabweans themselves, they must take a lead. I think it's not only happening in South Africa. I mean, not so long ago. I mean, last week, recently in Zambia, in Namibia, for example, the youth there, they had to stand. I think the problem here. And I understand. I think Shingi once, in this conversation, he said, when you are living in a different country, sometimes you don't really understand. But if you've been to Zimbabwe, somehow, I've been to Zimbabwe myself. I understand why sometimes it's sort of like a difficult thing to fight against the government, but I feel like the voices, even if they are from outside, as long as there's a pressure from outside, I mean the diaspora as well. Like for example, in South Africa, in before '94. I mean, people from UK, people from even the South African diaspora, the Miriam Makeba, all those people, they were shouting. So they were saying there is a problem in South Africa, and then that led to so much pressure into that government ended up giving up their power. So, and I'm saying this thing because I think the Zimbabweans as well, they must also shout, and not only Zimbabweans, because I don't think the Zimbabweans alone can win the fight. I feel like everyone else, as the SADC region and everyone else, UK, whatever, we must shout everywhere where you get the platform. As Zimbabweans, you must always say, in Zimbabwe there is a problem, because you must understand that general people somewhere somehow they don't really, like, they forget that what is happening in Zimbabwe, because there's nothing that is saying, that is alarming people, that says no, Zimbabwe there's a problem. It only happens whenever maybe there's xenophobia in South Africa or wherever. That's when people start to rise and say, hey, no, Zimbabwe this. But when things are sort of like normal, you guys don't raise your voices. And then I'm saying these things because this is how we can win, or this is how you can win. And to say we are fighting, you can even in China, for example, you find that there is where you are, Ziki, you find that there is a diaspora of Zimbabweans. You can also go to what you call to the embassy and cry there. South Africans, there are so many Zimbabweans, they can go to the embassies and cry there and fight there and march there and say, hey, Zimbabweans, or whatever. These things, and if you remember how Morgan Tsvangirai used to fight, it used to be all over the news. People used to say, but in Zimbabwe there is a problem, because Tsvangirai was fighting. And we see even Chamisa is sort of like a fighting, but the rest of, where is the rest of Zimbabweans to fight this thing? Where is the, because Zimbabweans, you find Zimbabweans being very, very, very vocal when it comes to the South African affairs, for example. Hey, we also need to be, but why don't you fight, have the same spirit when it comes to Zimbabwe? Because I mean, me myself, I'm a South African, but I feel pain when I go to Zimbabwe. I feel pain, me knowing how Zimbabwe used to be in the 80s, and then how I see Zimbabwe today. It's something painful, and I'm saying these things because we as Africans, we really need to. I know. Each and every country has got its own problems, like South Africa, whatever, everything, we understand it. But at this very same time, we also need to raise these issues. In DRC, if you've been to DRC, anyone who have been to DRC, you will cry. Because this thing is not a matter of, hey, I'm Zimbabwe and I'm this. Just by looking at what the situation is and what the situation are, it's very painful. It's very, very painful. And this thing is the situation where I'm saying that if we want to have a solution, the people must rise. The youth must rise. And then rising doesn't mean we need to go and ban things. No, you can rise and make the government ungovernable. Stop, like in South Africa, for example, what do you call it? In Zimbabwe, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, there are so many Zimbabweans. Why can't they go to the border and just stop a border for 10 hours or for a day and say no, enough is enough? This is our situation, and stop those things, so that, because that's how you win these things. Because if you're going to fight for a job in South Africa and whatever, you will always fight with it. Or you can go to Botswana, you'll always have the very same results. of people will say you'll fight. The xenophobic will never end. But if you want the solution in Zimbabwe, for example, you need to stand up. Go to those embassies. Those people that they are not working for Zimbabweans. They are working for their pockets. So if you make them ungovernable and make it out there, if you go wherever, there are people, Zimbabweans that have got power. They can go to the UN and say Zimbabweans are suffering. Go those things, make a campaign and say it's over with Mnangagwa or whatever. And this thing has got nothing to do with politics of saying, because you hear some Zimbabweans, they get emotional whenever you start to sort of like try and discuss these things. They will say, no, hey, Mugabe, this thing, it's always, but it is never, an ordinary Zimbabwean is suffering out there. If you go to Bulawayo, it's painful. It's very, very painful to if you were there in the 80s and you were there, you will understand. Zimbabwe, it's a failed state. I'm sorry to say this thing, but Zimbabwe is a failed state. And this is very painful. And this is what is happening in South Africa, for example. And then that is why you see people must rise. You must not be afraid if you want to liberate, if you want to make change, you want to bring change in Zimbabwe, if you want to bring change in Africa, you need to rise. The youth must rise, and you must not be afraid and ashamed. And go out there, go to BBC or wherever where you get the platform and embarrass those leaders. So that now the world it becomes attention that no, in Zimbabwe there is a problem. People will start to say in Zimbabwe there is a problem, and then that's when you can win these things, because we have seen the suffering of Changarai, and we can even go back as Joshua Nkomo, all those people, Banana, that guy, Banana, whatever, I forgot his name. Yes. It's a suffering that these people and we're talking about powerful people. What about the ordinary people? Because those powerful people, they were beaten. Shangarai was beaten like a kid. Was beaten, his wife was killed, whatever. Because they were powerful, they've got money, those people. What about the normal Zimbabweans? Do you think how are they going to win these things? We need to be practical in a sense that we need to have a solution. Because if you keep on saying, no, but Zimbabweans must, we have seen Zimbabweans fighting these things, but there's no solution. And then we are saying that we have realized that even the leaders in South Africa, for example, they are not doing anything for you. Because, I mean, in 2008, if you remember what happened to Thabo Mbeki, the so-called our savior, or our best president in South Africa, he went to Zimbabwe during those disputes between Changarai and Mugabe. He went there, and everything else he said Zimbabweans are fine, everything is fine. And what I'm saying is that even the leaders themselves, the presidents, or even if you go to Swaziland or wherever, those presidents, they are not helping Zimbabweans. So, but the Zimbabweans themselves, and then also us as South Africans, us as Botswana, us as Basotho, us as SADC, us.
Interesting. Shingi, what do you say?
Oh, it's a lot to digest. It's a lot to take in.
Are you agreeing that we don't have the fighting spirit, or we've just given up?
Wow, I don't know, because like I said, I put myself as one of those people, is it like the way Malema is saying, it's the truth, because we all chicken away. We all had to catch that flight and run away. And, because nobody was even prepared to say, oh, let me stand up. But there are few, like I said, who have done, that time of the coup and whatever. I think there was children who did try to protest or whatever. And you know what the ZANU-PF does? They give repression to people. They send soldiers, and those children were shot. I think some of them were from Chitungwiza, and they died. So, what they do is, which is different, because when people protest, for instance, like in South Africa, it's very rare that you see the government, unleashing soldiers. It's very rare. But in Zimbabwe, it's like a military state. So it started, during the time of Robert Mugabe, and even now, it's still the same. So I think, I don't know, like, I get where people are coming from to say, people the youth needs to be bold. But who's going to start? Who is going to be on the front? Who's going to start this uprising? That is where the point is. But, well, he spoke about Miriam Makeba. So we can say, CK, you are one of the Miriam Makebas anyway, because already you are starting a platform where, because you are doing a social media thing, which is seen all over the world. The entire whole world is watching you and is listening to everybody's opinions. And, people are coming, and some who are from all different parts of the continent, some whom we don't know, but people have got a concern. And it's true, it's up to the people to find the common denominator. It's up to the people of Zimbabwe to find a way on how best people can free themselves. Other people can come and assist, but it has to start as well within people. I know there's a time people always blame the ANC, but we have seen that the ANC, they are not interested. They are like a sister party to ZANU-PF. They've got a best interest for ZANU-PF because of their political affiliations. So it's just one of those things. And I do agree with what Mr. Malema is saying. It is true. It's so devastating, like what he's saying, that he visited. I had one of my aunties, she said to me, Shingi, when I first went to Zimbabwe, that was, I think she said it was in the 80s or something. She says it was the first time I saw a country that looked like Europe. She says when we were coming from South Africa she said it was so beautiful. Auntie Nombulelo said, she said, I had never walked into a city that looked like somewhere in Europe. But this is the Zimbabwe, that this guy is saying when he went in the 80s, he saw something. But if you go now, it's like you've arrived in a very different world altogether. It's like a ghost town. Some of those beautiful places, they are gone, CK. I'm sorry to say that. And now this is sometimes where people think, like, if we start to maybe to do like a violent thing, what would be left of Zimbabwe anyway? Because it's already something that is already decayed in terms of infrastructure-wise. I know some people are building those houses and whatever, like the diaspora, but if you go there are no roads anyway. No one is maintaining anything. You find those beautiful, beautiful houses, but there is no organization. So it's such a difficult situation. It's very interesting to listen to the people of the world and to listen to other Africans and see how they view our people and how they look at us. And it's always good to get, constructive criticism. And like this other brother Magaluf is saying, he wants also to help. Please help us and shout. If you can go to BBC, Mr. Magaluf, go and speak. CNN, if you want to go to United Nations, go and speak as well. We'll also try as well to speak over the social media like we are doing. We'll try in other platforms if we get the chance, especially here in the UK, to talk about it. Like I say, most people tend to think about themselves. They don't want to talk about anything. People think about themselves. And I think that is the other frustration that is bringing the South Africans, when they see a lot of influx of migrants coming from Zimbabwe, because they are thinking, all these people are coming, and in South Africa has its own problems. People are struggling in South Africa. They don't have jobs. There is a lot of issues that South Africa is also facing. You understand? True. And then you have these neighbors, children, who are always coming to look for food every day. It just becomes a burden, even if you love your neighbor. But it just becomes a burden, and you'll be thinking, what are the parents doing there? Why can't these children cry to their parents? So, like, there's another one who said, our leaders treat us like we are children. And it's true. They think they think they've got a best interest at heart for us, but some of their policies, they are old-fashioned. They are not practical in this modern day age. They are not at all. So and it's not helping. We are all going round in circles, all round in circles, and nothing is changing for us.
Okay, let me just say,
Okay.
okay, let me ask, then I'm going to give, is it Simon or what? Wait,
Oh
just,
yes.
okay, just a minute. So I just wanted to highlight this, guys. Like, we have seen that since we're talking about SADC, in the beginning of the video, I outlined for you the problems country by country, okay, that I've been following, okay, in SADC. Like all of them, they all get back to the issue of unemployment on the youth, economic hardships, and all this kind of stuff, right? So I'm saying, what's the way forward? It so seems that each and every country has got its own problems here, and the youth from these countries, they are suffering. Okay, Simon.
Zike, for me, I think the solution should be we shouldn't really focus on individual countries like Zimbabwe, what Zimbabwe need to do. I think what young people need to do, or what we need to do as Africans, we must put pressure on the African Union because you cannot have a continental body that has no power and also that has a constitution that we're not even familiar with. We cannot have, like you see with Europe, with the European Union. If you want to join the European Union, there's certain things that you need to fulfill in order to be part of the European Union. They're not going. They don't just take you because you are in Europe. And I think the problem with the African Union is that you have all these countries, different constitutions. Some are democratic, some are not. Some are dictators and everything, and they are all part of the African Union. We cannot have that. We need to have a guiding principle. We need to have a guiding document that says this is what we want for Africa. If you are going to be part of the African Union, these are the basic fundamentals of human rights that every country must follow. When it comes to elections, we don't want a situation where in Zimbabwe people vote every year and then the same party wins all the time, whether they lose or not. They always comes up tops. We need to have a constitution, African Union constitution that is clear. And I think if we can address our anger towards the African Union, because the African Union is being paid by taxpayers' money. I mean, obviously the Chinese are involved in everybody, but we need to push them to say, no, we cannot have Zimbabwe as part of the African Union if they're not democratic. We cannot have them as part of the African Union if they don't respect human rights. So we need to start demanding things like that. To say, even if it means that we might end up maybe with an African Union with only 10, 20 members. But I think we really need to be very strict of what exactly we want to do in the African Union. Because now we can talk about issues of jobs and everything. The problem with the issue of jobs, the way I see it in South Africa, especially also in Zimbabwe, I think land has impoverished people. Because you can have the best job and everything, but when the economy is struggling, if you don't really have access to land, you will also struggle. And I think one thing that I think we need to do, and we also need to push for, is for people to have access to land. The land that the government owns, you need to start releasing some of those land. Even if you maybe are leasing it to people, even some of these young people that are roaming around using drugs and everything. Farming is not a complicated thing. People try and make it like as if it's like this weird science that you have to go to school to do. Our grandparents have been farming for thousands of years without any of this education. So let's try and make sure that let's make space. Let's give land to people so that those who do not have jobs, they can at least be productive, so that we can also grow local economies. But yeah, for me, in conclusion, I think we must focus on the African Union. Yeah,
But the issue, okay, let me ask you about the issue of land.
yeah.
When you talk about the issue of giving land to the youth, so that they can
Hmm.
use land and everything. But let's look at what happened in Zimbabwe, right?
Yeah.
The land was taken and was given to people to to farm, but still now we are seeing Zimbabwe right now as I speak, there's food crisis. Prices are very high. People have been encouraged to import food from outside,
Hmm.
sugar, meal, flour, you understand, but yet they were given land. So can land be the
But
solution?
but you see what the problem is? The land redistribution in Zimbabwe, it was not done to distribute land to people. It was done as a political tool. So if you do something as a to gain political mileage, it doesn't necessarily mean that you actually want to empower people. But if it was done properly to empower Zimbabweans, it could have been a long-term plan, maybe like a 3-4 year plan where you give people land, you're training them, you are giving them access to finances, or giving them even access to equipment. Because I mean, if you have a big farm, you obviously need a lot of equipment. But if you look at South Africa and Zimbabwe, they're not doing that. Then which means that for them, land is not an issue because they want to use it as a political tool. When they see that now they are losing political mileage, that's when they start talking about land. Because as I said previously, that our African leaders, they are very good at selling us these pies in the skies that we will never get, pies in the sky that we will never reach. So my solution is start doing land redistribution now, even if it takes the next 5-10 years. But if we know that we have started the process, people are being trained, people are learning, people are growing. Because even if you look at South African economy, as much as okay, we have a big economy and everything, South African economy is in the hands of white people. That if tomorrow they decide to live here, will be the same like everybody else in Africa. So we don't really Africa. We don't have an economy in Africa. We don't have an African economy in Africa. We don't have an. So how do we then make Africa to have an African economy? An African economy, even if you look traditionally, is based on the fact that you have access to land. If you look at the history of South Africa, the reason why in South Africa they had to go and get Indian people from India to come and work in KwaZulu-Natal, the reason was that black people didn't want to work. Why didn't we want to work? Because there was no need for us to work because we had all the resources. You have land, you have cows. People were wealthy. There was no need for people to work. Today, we've been impoverished, and then now we're being forced to work. So we think we're suffering because we don't have jobs, but actually it's not the jobs that we need. We need access to land because when you have access to land, land gives you access to capital as well. Yeah. So that's my take. I think we need to push our government. So you know what, you might not have a lot of money, but if there is land available, give it to people. Give it to people. Even
Yeah,
if
thank you
100
so much.
years, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Magufuli, what do you think about the land? I think,
I'm sorry, I apologize. Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of things Brother Simon say from South Africa. But the only things, I think for Africa Union, I don't think Africa Union might solve this problem because most of those Africa Union leaders, they are the same bunch of dysfunctional leader from the same people from these countries. I'm not saying in a negative way, but most of those leaders are these same people who causing a lot of unrest in our country, making brothers, sisters in Zimbabwe and all these other African countries suffer. So I doubt because I doubt. Like for example, look at a SADC. SADC alone they can fix the problem in Zimbabwe. Like ANC or South African government, all these other countries, but they kind of have there's something like I don't know what's going on. Like they can fix that problem, but for some reason they don't want. I don't understand why. Like only the SADC region, like South Africa, Zambia, Malawi, they can fix the problem in Zimbabwe. They can say, "Hey, look, you mistreat our people from Zimbabwe, brother and sister who are member of the SADC, then these are our term and condition." In the can. Just imagine the SADC itself, the can. Africa Union, that stuff doesn't even exist. I was here, Africa Union, Africa, but I don't know we did a last remember the something which is concrete that they did for the continent. It's like that stuff it doesn't exist. It's just there. AU. But I can't remember when last time they did something. I say I had African Union. They did this for the continent. But as far as
Interesting.
the language, I do totally agree with my brother Simon. Is very, I think we have to start as a in a local way, train brother and sister to farm, and we need to get rid of this mindset like every problem, white man, he the one who can solve this problem. Like we can do this stuff ourselves because
Well,
we still have the mindset like we need to look for a job. Okay, if I can ask, if you can do your own research, go down to your neighborhood, to anybody, your family member, ask them, like, okay, why you started? They're going to say, oh, I'm looking for a job, my brother. I'm looking for a job when I finish. So, face, I think it starts from, the mindset how we think. Because we were colonized. So we were using their education system of, look, we give you this dysfunctional education system, which we use. This is the reason why We can't even produce a corona medication. Everybody can produce the corona medication. Everybody can make these drones they use everywhere, but we can produce nothing. You know, South Africa, you know, we have to give them credit. They do bigger things. But a lot of African countries,
Well, Shingi, the land.
we can't produce this stuff. Why? Because we're still using the colonial education system.
Well, the land, I think, talking to a Zimbabwean perspective, we do have the land now, don't we? You know, Land Distribution Act was done, is it, during the time of Robert Mugabe. People got farms. I've got relatives who were in the ZANU-PF who actually benefited from that. One of my aunties, I think she got about 3 farms. She was even calling people to say, come and I'll split you this, I'll split you this. Because, you know, she was part of those, they call them Women's League. She was part of that Women's League, of which I feel not all of the Zimbabwean people got the land in terms of the land. It was more related to whether you are holding a ZANU-PF card and, you know, which political affiliation do you belong to. So that is hence the influence when the land was distributed. And most of them, since they've been given land, a lot of them are not even utilizing the land because they were given at a commercial scale. And the sad part of it, yes, someone was saying our people have been doing farming for years and years, but it's different when you're doing farming at a smaller scale and at a larger scale. I think when this was done, this Land Acquisition Act, what they should have done was to train people first, you know, on how to do commercial farming at a larger scale level. And also there should have been money to be, you know, put in place so that when people are given these commercial farms, they can be in a position to farm them and they will have the knowledge on how to do the, you know, the commercial farming. Yes, our people love farming. That's very true. I come from a background of farming where most of my, you know, grandfathers and all, they were, which you call them peasant farmers. So, you know, people, they know there's money in the soil. But I think the way the Land Acquisition Act was done, you know, especially in Zimbabwe, it wasn't distributed fairly because you would find that it was a political affiliation. If you are holding a ZANU-PF card, you get a lot of land. So that is the sad part of it. Yes, I know South Africa is trying to deal with it. They are trying to do something like that, of which I feel, yes, people need land as well in South Africa because some of the Black people in South Africa, I can give for an example, which I know in KZN, they live in places which are not very nice, you know, and some of the nice places there you would find, they are with the, you know, white settlers, you know, who came, you know, I know they are now South Africans, but originally they are white settlers. So, but you find that. So, you know, I don't know, that one, it's a very complex scenario, to be honest, in terms of land. But I believe the natives should live freely and they should be having land and it should be adequate. You know, people shouldn't be living in a way where they don't feel really, really, you know, like secured. About the African Union, as this other gentleman was trying to say that most of the leaders in African Union, they are all the same. That is very true. That's the problem we are having. All the people that come together there, most of them, they are from the old regime, you know. So how can they kick each other out of there? And they come with all the mantra, you know, for Zimbabwe, they'll be saying, oh, the sanctions are coming from the West. It's the West that are creating all these sanctions, you know. So they always look at the West as the enemy and they look at America as the enemy, but they don't want to face the elephant that is in the room, you know. So every blame is shifted to the sanctions. That's why they keep talking about the sanctions all the time. Like, for instance, the AU, if they care about the Africans, how many asylum are, you know, like those African men who are drowning in the Mediterranean Sea? What has the AU done about it? A lot of those Africans, they are going through Libya, and a lot of them, they are dying in that sea. But nothing has been done by the AU, which is such a very big, big, big organization that holds Africa. They've not done anything. Now they are saying all these asylum seekers that are coming to the UK through these dinghies, in the boats, when they get over to England, when they cross from France to England, they'll now take them to Rwanda, and Paul Kagame has accepted them. Now Britain has changed it to say, oh, there's no growth of human rights in Rwanda because they want to send people there. So it is a very complex scenario. It is a very complex scenario. Yeah.
Anyway, let me hear Simon. Simon wants to comment on the issue of the land. Simon?
Okay, no, Ziggy, I was just saying that I don't think when we think farming, we must always think commercial. You can have farming that supports the local community. And I think to always think that, if you need a farm, you need to have like hectares and hectares of land. I grew up in Limpopo. My grandparents will go for months and months without even having money in their hands because they were able to like have land to farm. And it wasn't big commercial stuff. It's just for you to farm, to have enough for your family and also to be able to sell. And I think if we can start from there, and as people master that, I can tell you, if we can have a 5-year program or a 10-year program, those little small scale farmers that start small, I can tell you in the next 10 years, there'll be guys who will be owning hectares and hectares of farmland. So we just have to start small. The problem is that we always, like I said, that let's not look at the pie in the sky. Start with the basics, the small things. Even the big farmers that we see today, they didn't start big. They start small. So we can do that as well. We can also do that. Start small and then we grow from there. Same thing with the business. You don't start a business with 100 people. You start with 1-2 people. Over time you grow, and then now all of a sudden you got thousands and thousands of people working for you. So we can use the same approach also with farming. Yeah,
the issue of the land.
Yes.
So land is one of the solutions for the African youth. And knowledge of how to till the land, okay?
I remember that sister from South Africa in one of the shows you did who was saying that I've got my long nails. I don't need to do any farming.
Oh, yeah. You were following that one, eh?
Yes, I was indeed.
I know. But anyway, guys, when we look at this whole situation, it's very, very complicated, and it has been happening for years. For years and years. And the funny thing is, like we were talking about here, like the youth have traveled, the youth are educated, they are moving with technology, they are moving with things, they are well up there. And now the people are leading them. Okay, they have a different vision. Okay, they've got a different vision compared to what the youth are seeing. The youth, they're even thinking of having cars that drive themselves and go and yet we are having they're being led by, yes, they say with age is wisdom and experience and everything, but I also feel like, the youth needs to be given a chance and be mentored and be placed and be taken close and be empowered, okay? So that at the end of the day, when these ones are going, okay, the youth are going to be replacing them with the knowledge that they learn. But now it seems like the youth, when they open their mouth to speak, they're sidelined, they are pushed away, they're told no, you cannot say this, because I think also there is fear among the old leaders that if we let these kids come and start talking the way they're talking, bringing in all this knowledge and everything, their popularity will be taken away from them, okay? Because I don't know, let me just open the mic to who hasn't spoken. RM Malema.
Hello. Yes,
Hello.
Ziki. I think, yes, I agree with Simon. Totally agree with Simon, especially in terms of land. Because if you go back in the 90s and 80s and 70s, going backwards, we used to have land, like most of the people from the rural areas, like the Bantu stunts, they used to call them that. So we used to have land. So the land was not that massive, but people used to live, like we used to plant everything on those land. And then at a very small scale, So it was not, people were not really suffering. The poverty that we used to, it's very difficult, because when people were talking about poverty, it was not really the poverty that we see today. Because today, when we talk of poverty, we talk about people that don't have anything to eat. But back then it was different. And I tell you what causes all these things. These things was caused by education, the so-called education in inverted commas. Because if you take in the 90s, even in Zimbabwe, this thing happened in the whole of Africa. In the 90s, in the 80s, and going backwards, people used to have cows, used to farm. Even if were going to school, after school they'll go and fetch cows. You understand what I'm saying? So, but now, if you look at the education today, people, these kids or these students, these learners, they even study on Sunday. They go to school, they wear uniform. They don't even have time to go to do farming, because everything they've invested, everything is education, 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 in inverted commas. I'm not saying education is bad, but the way this education is somehow is the one that is taking us back, because now people are educated with this knowledge and whatever, but they are failing to do basic things, which is food. How to get that is why when you look at Zimbabwe, they have got land. You guys have got land, but majority of you live you like of Zimbabwean people who are in Zimbabwe today. Majority of them, they sleep without eating anything. And this is not only in Zimbabwe. I'm just making an example about Zimbabwe, because Zimbabwe is the one that has got people that people own land there. So that is why I'm saying that we need to really, really, really educate ourselves, because this thing, it's an education that was given to us by our parents and our grandparents and whatever. But the so-called the Western education came and taught us a different way of education, but we ended up forgetting. Now now they're talking of land. It's like as if now we are going back to the 80s or the 70s, where people used to have land. Now today, as we speak, most of the people in Zimbabwe, in South Africa, they've abandoned that land. Now they no longer care about that land. Now they care about jobs. If we become honest to each other, people now, they consider jobs more than land. So that is why you had that sister who was saying, no, I've got nails or whatever. But they forget that land is the one that gives us food, because the food is a basic need. You can't talk of you living without food. But now we are used to buying at ShopRite, buying at Choppies, buying at whatever, All Spa and all those things. Because that's and now it's only the commercial farmers that are gaining, because now because you must understand that this thing comes from there. The education, they taught you differently, so that now you can see land in a very different angle, and then you see land as something that is not really something important to you, because now the most important thing to you is education. The education, why? Because you want to get a job, so that you can go and work in the office there. So that is why that's why I'm saying, Simon, I agree with Simon. So many of us in Limpopo, in KwaZulu-Natal, all those things, they used to have land, but that land today, as we speak, people, they have abandoned. They no longer care much about that land. So that is why I'm saying that even that land, if you give it to the people, are the people ready? Is the education system, is this how we see education? Are we ready? Because otherwise, if we people are now having a mindset of jobs, of which this job is not there, it doesn't exist anymore. People are now losing jobs. COVID-19 and all these things, this fear. Now people, they're using machines. If you go to people use machines, use whatever artificial intelligence. Now it's the people now start to talk about land, and that land that our people, the education, we need to change how we need to go back to the roots and understand that. That's how I'm talking about land. I think I'll give other people a chance to talk, but I really agree with Simon.
Okay. Thank you, Malema. Okay, so I think as we finalize our discussion for tonight, we were looking at being a SADC youth, challenges and solutions to some of the problems that the SADC youth are facing. Like I said before, the challenges are all the same, but for others they are higher, for others they are like that, but the problems that the SADC are facing is the same. And I also, interestingly, in the panel there, I discovered that praises were being given to South African youth, saying, well, South African youth, they are bold, they can speak out, they have no fear. If they don't like what is happening, they will do something about it, and they are united. Okay. And also there was comparison with the issue of Zimbabweans, again referring to that video that was done by Nota, where you were saying, well, for Zimbabwean youth, I think, there's something that has been hammered into them, and something was taken away from them to the extent that they now just think for themselves. They no longer have that unity, that let's come together as the youth of Zimbabwe and do ABCD. Nowadays, it's all about each man for himself. Okay, therefore, if it's about each man for himself, this is when you are finding that the youth, soon after graduation, and even before graduation, someone is already thinking of getting their own passport, thinking of which country am I going to, how I'm going to get there, and everything. There is no longer that issue of saying, as a youth, I'm going to study and stay and study and fight or whatever to build my country. There is no longer that. And Shingi also spoke about the issue of him, of other people like him and everybody else who lives in the diaspora, that all their strength, their youthfulness, all their, when you are youth, you are very strong. This is when the youth, that is why the youth is the backbone of every community, every society, because you are powerful, you are strong, you are fresh, you are thinking. Now they say all this strength, all this thinking and everything has been wasted, developing another person's country. By the time you decide to go and retire back home, you are very old, you cannot even do anything. All right. So those are some of the issues that we were discussing right here. So as we close, I just want each and every one of you guys who were in the stream just to say your closing remarks. Then we're going to close our show. Who's going to go first? Let me just go.
I just started first.
Okay.
Okay, first, I want to say thanks a lot. And another thing I want to add that we as African people face, I think we need to change the mindset, especially dependence mindset, like our solutions. For us to solve our problem, we need to wait for them, the Western world, to solve our problem. We can be the solution to our problem, because just like a lot of people have touched it on the education issue, because we still use the education system and they give us for a reason. Because this education system does not work in the real world that we live in today. We started the Isaac Newton F equal to M. This stuff, you can use that stuff to create drones and big machines. They're not teaching us how to do industrial farming. No, that education system, it does not teach us how to do that. You see, how to do industrial farming, because like we can have all these farms, which is great, but they come with a machine, they still mines a minute, because they got the new education system that they can use and extract the mineral from Zimbabwe village, from our mother and our grandma, our granny. So yeah, that's all I can say for today. So we need to change the whole strip of all this education system. We can have that, and come with our own. We need to have a lot of research, man. They do a lot of research in people. Look at the drone they sent to Ukraine. Oh, I don't want to mention that because I have the tech or whatever. You see this stuff that goes there? They have them. We don't have that. Because people always do the research. They think it's critical. We're the only one who don't think it's critical. We do, but I feel like we can do more, especially we, the youth. We can't always making a noise like, we, especially youth and special men. Because we got Ziki here, we men, we have to lead our women.
Mm.
We have to set example.
Wow. Thank you so
And
much. Thank
just
you,
one more
Mago.
thing. Just one. And another thing is because we as a man, like I'm not saying women can do, but we as a man, we have like every women and men can do. But we need to create jobs because our women, our African women, is like sometimes I feel bad, like men and women, we go and compete, look for job from white men and Indian men. That's not great. When you have skills, we have to go and give back and create jobs for our own people. I think we have to create some type of code of conduct like, look, you graduate, you create a job for your
Code of
people.
conduct.
You can work, but you need to create a job for your people, man. It's just my opinion. Not say everybody can, oh, we can, but we can. I'm one of those people. I graduate with my qualification, but I refuse to work for them. I got my mini company, you know. I just decided to start from scratch so I can do something for my brother and sister.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, thank you, thank you. You can come out of the stream. Who's coming next? Shingi, just your few words, then we are closing.
Yeah, anyway, thank you very much, Ziki, for the platform and for the contribution. And I've, I listened to everybody's points. And, I feel that, as the youth and as the young people, I think there's the only way people from the diaspora, we've got these platforms, which are like your platform. And if more people can create platforms where people can shout and people say things, because this will go, a long way, and it can change, things, and it can turn things around. You remember the Arab Spring, it all went up like that, viral. It was all to do with, platforms like this and the Twitter and all that. So I think if we have more of people leading and shouting, being ambassadors, and people talking more and shouting, especially the youth, I think there can be a great difference. It will bring momentum. But if everybody just speaks when something has just happened, and then after that everything die down,
Mm.
there's nothing. And it's true what that celebrity did mention. It did touch me when he said, when that Mr. Nyati passed away, you look at Nigerians, for instance. I'm sorry to mention them. Nigerians are very united. Even when they had that problem of xenophobia during that time in South Africa, I know in the end their embassy had to make them to be repatriated, to be returned back to Nigeria. But if something happens, Nigerians are so united, you cannot mess about with them. That is a fact. So, because they still have that dignity for themselves, whether they are on the wrong or whether they are on the right, I've had an experience to meet and to work with some of them, and they are so united. If something happens at work, Ziki, when there's only Nigerians, that thing, it will never be heard. But if with our own people, our own Zimbabwean people, they will be the first to go and report. Before this issue of immigration or whatever, the first people that used to report other people to immigration, it would be the other fellow Zimbabwean who doesn't even have papers as well, will be the one to go and report. So, I think if we can unite and be one and have one spirit, I think we can go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shingi. Thank you so much. See you next time. I'll open for
Okay.
okay.
Ziki, I think for now, just that I think African youth need to learn to lead themselves. They mustn't wait to be led by us old people, and they need to take initiative. If you are able to go to school and you have your education, find something to do. You don't have, because you have studied, you don't have to be in an office. Find something to do. How can you serve your local communities? You look at countries like the USA, it doesn't matter who's the president, the country still functions. So we need to get to that level where it's not about the leaders we have, but it's about the people, the community that we have. So we learn to lead ourselves. So that's my parting shot.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's have Malema.
Okay, thank you, Ziki. I think before I can conclude, I feel like I need to raise this, Ziki. Maybe let me just talk about you, Ziki. But anyway, this will be for all the Zimbabweans. I think your platform, we really thank your, like I followed you from the very first live when you started this kind of topics. So I can see that, especially this thing, these topics of xenophobia and everything else. I mean, if you follow, like, really listen to everyone's opinion or everyone's experience, you get to sort of understand the other side. Because I'm saying this because I realized that at the beginning of this, when you started this topic, it was more of bias. But I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm saying this thing in a sense that now we start to understand. You start to understand the South Africans, where they're coming from, and then even the South Africans now they start to sort of
It's true. Okay, guys, so thank you so much. I think the network is now getting a problem. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ray, thank you so much. I appreciate you, but I would have loved if you could have said some words for us before we leave, but I want to appreciate you so much. Chris said, you think that when are you having your own channel? Oh my God, that's a prayer. That's a prayer. That thing is going to happen very soon. Okay. Ray, do you have anything to say? If nothing, thank you so much. I'm going to take you out of the stream. Okay, guys. So thank you so much for tonight. Okay. I know that the network was yo, but I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much, guys. We know the problems we are facing. We are all facing the same thing. We are all facing the similar problems. But I just want to say, one of my brothers there, I think it was Malema, before he left, said that in the beginning of these discussions, Ziki was a little bit biased towards, you understand? But as interactions went on, as we began to engage and interact and listen to each other, I began to understand where South Africans were coming from, okay? Because maybe in the beginning I was just, working with what was being put out there, like South Africans are this, South Africans are that, South Africans are, you understand, like that. So at the end of the day, you become very, very just like, But when you are given a chance to listen and to understand what is going, and to dialogue and to debate and to criticize, and you then begin to understand where the other person is coming from. So I think also because of these discussions that we have been having, they also helped me as a person to understand why South Africans are saying what they're saying, why Zimbabweans are saying what they're saying, and everything. So at the end of the day, we become an understanding. Even like I told you guys, I started I was initially I was doing like covering the whole of Africa news, this, but then I ended up discussing, after discussing with some other people, they said, no, Ziggy, I decided to just concentrate myself on the SADC. I'm an African child, but I decided to concentrate on SADC and to understand what is happening around SADC. This is why you have realized that I'm always here with SADC news. anything happening around SADC, I make sure that I know who is doing what, who went what's the problems happening in SADC, the challenges SADC are facing. I'm always listening to cabinet shows, all these live streams from ministers and everything. I'm always following that because I just want to have an understanding of what is happening in the region. But of course, I'm open to what is happening after. So by engaging, and I'm hoping like there's someone there who mentioned the issue that Aziki, you need also to bring some, we need to hear what the Zambians are saying, the Mozambicans are saying. This is a very good point, but Lucky is on our side. I have a brother, actually, one is a political commentator from Zambia, and another one is a politician from Zambia. The politician is a very young guy, very young guy. He was part of the presidential candidate during the last elections. He was a candidate during the last election. So I asked them, like, we want you to come here and talk to us about what is happening. They agreed. So we are still organizing that. But my only problem was because my Wi-Fi has been acting up crazy. So I didn't want to bring them, and then we have issues with Wi-Fi. But yeah, there's a youth from Zambia who participated in the previous presidential elections. We are very good friends, and is going to be on the show. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate all of you. Okay, thank you so much. I want to appreciate Crex. I want to appreciate Olu. I want to appreciate everybody who was in the stream. I want to appreciate Magufuli. I want to appreciate, let me just go up and down so that I can appreciate the people in the stream. Ntombifuti, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Matthias. Thank you, Matthias. Yeah, and Hlengiwe, you are appreciated so much. Let me see. I'm scrolling. Tabiseng, much love, sis. Much love. Let me see. Andile, you are loved. Thank you so much, guys, and everybody else that I didn't mention by name. You are all appreciated. Let's keep the love. One day is one day. Thank you so much, guys. And before I go, I was so hurt, guys. The way I loved David Gennaro, Bartlett, who passed away. I was so hurt. I loved that guy. He's one of the people I looked forward to seeing in all those scandals. Each time when the scandal starts, I'm like, what is David up to? So may his soul rest in peace. It's a loss in the industry. It's a big loss in the industry. But yeah, that is life, that is life. Things happen, and when they happen, it's okay. So thank you so much, everyone. I need to sleep now. Okay, good night. Thank you. Good night, everyone. I don't love to leave my people home, and yet I go out. You need people. The visitors have to go out before the owner of the house. Like, I'm leaving you in the house. I am at home. We're staying at home. No moving around. I wanted to show you something, guys. Okay, let me show you something before I go. Let me show you something. Okay, for those of you who followed my live stream in the afternoon, this card here, we are on lockdown here. We are on lockdown. We're not supposed to be moving around. So, and also I've been telling you that we get tested like after every 48 hours, you need to get tested. So they've now announced that you need to have this card in order for you to be allowed to enter our main gate. Okay, for you to enter the main gate, you need to have this. So in other words, only people who live in that community are the ones who are allowed in the community. So everyone must have this card here. It is a pass. Okay, in order also to get this card, you must also, they'll be asking you if you have been vaccinated, how many doses did you have, all those kind of stuff. Okay, they ask that, and then you're given this card. So I will have to put it like this, moving around like this, so that I don't drop the card, okay? So that I don't drop the card. So this is the thing that I did today, okay? I did a live stream about this in the it was what, it was in the afternoon. I did a live stream about this in the afternoon. Yeah. No, it's not a Dompas. It's not a Dompas. This one is just for the gate. I think when this COVID thing subsided, they will just throw it away. I think so. But for now, you need to have this. Okay, you need to have this for you to be able to enter. For you to be able to enter some shopping malls and some supermarkets, you need to have 48 hours results. Okay, I got tested this afternoon. I don't know if my results are out. Let me check. I'm not sure if my results are out. I want to show you something, guys. How serious this thing is. You see on my phone here, oh, the light is too much. So there is an application, this one here. So each time I want to enter any supermarket, I want to enter any building, I have to click here. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, you see, then I usually choose English, then query me. You see this green here means what? The green shows that no abnormal conditions, no abnormal conditions. Now, if I want to check my test results, I have to click here. You see, this is my test results. Sorry. Negative. So so it has to show negative, okay? But then for me, it is showing that I last got tested 5 days ago, and yet I'm supposed to be having 48 hours. So I got tested today, but my results are not yet reflecting on the system, okay? So when my results are showing, it will still like that, but of course it's showing that it's negative. So this is the complications of this whole situation. I was talking about that yesterday. We were talking about this monkeypox thing that is going on. You know, that one is serious, guys. That one is very, very serious. Oh, that one is serious. I'm telling you, that one is serious. If that thing starts here, that is very, very, very serious. I'm telling you. I was talking to my friends about it yesterday, and they were actually telling me that, have you noticed that, when they're talking about this monkeypox thing, they're only using the pictures of black people. I was like, really? So I just went to check, but that thing is very, very serious. Oh, it's serious, guys. It's very, very serious. No. And you know how some people how they were saying how this thing gets is spread. We pray. Okay, bye bye. Bye bye, guys. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye. Thank you so much. I'm switching off now. Okay. Bye bye. Cracks. Ciao, ciao.